Hey friends, welcome to Moxie Gardens. I'm Mike Toomey, and today we're going to be planting up our folk art planters that my brother and I made some years ago. Remember, they used to sit back by the pergola. We've parked them in over here, but real quick, before we head off to a nursery to pick up some things for those planters, feel free to stick around right after I'm done talking. My son was able to capture part of the flooding that happened yesterday. We were in tornado warnings. Thank you for those who reached out and asked if we were okay. Everything's fine. I don't think any tornadoes landed. I think there was any damage other than a lot of rain. I think we got a little over 3 inches, but we got like 2.5 of those inches in a very, very short window. I'm talking like within 20 minutes of something, maybe even shorter than that. So a lot of the water gushed off of all the homes that are around us. If you recall, this garden all started by accident because we purchased this home, was going to flip it, and found out that we had water situation in the yard landscape prior to all this being in here. So some of you had asked, hey, do you have any footage? Well, when you drop that much water in that short amount of time, we were able to pick up some footage we hadn't been able to pick up since we put in all the hardscape and started working with this. So remember we put in those goldfish last week? May not even be there. The pond was actually underwater, so if they came to the surface and swam off, they swam off. There was a lot of water. So stay tuned. We'll share with that. And so while you guys are checking that out, I'm going to run to a local nursery. We're going to find something to go into these planters. Let me share with you. These are the planters that we will be planting up. Little folk art. My brother and I just kind of drew up what I wanted for them, and he kind of went to work on it. I was thinking something with hair would look fun, something to drape over. But we'll find something in there. I'm thinking some grass, some tall grass. I kind of want that movement right there. We've got a lot going on anyway. So I think grass, something tall. The only other piece of grass that I have any kind of ornamental grass is right here. So we'll figure out what we can put in there. But yeah, feel free to check out the video. All this was underwater. We hadn't seen that much rain, water in the garden in quite some time. So anyway, I'm gonna run off. You guys check out the water issue and we'll get started. Okay, before I recap on our productivity for the day, I just wanted to kind of share with you guys what you've seen in the beginning of the video. If you were looking when my son was standing, he stood on grandma's bench to videotape that. If you caught a glimpse of it, right back there was just full of water. And what happens is all these homes, because we had so much water coming off, 2.5 inches or 2.5 plus inches of rain that came off all these homes and flushed into our yard, which is the lowest spot in our neighborhood, or in this part of the neighborhood, I suppose. All that water will fill up around, and then it will come around, go under here, into the creek, and then out. Well, in this instance, all that rainwater was above the pond. You can't tell because we have enough shrubs and plants around here that you wasn't able to see it in the video, but trust me, the water was above the pond level. So that's why I said I'm not sure if we have any goldfish left in there. They may have went downstream. I've double checked a million times, but the water is murky. Now over the next couple of days, the water will, all this muck will settle in the ponds and creek, and we'll be able to see the base before too long. So this has happened before. But anyway, if you was looking, you could see all the water running out and all along the edging over there. And so what happens is we fill up. It's designed to where it either goes under here, or if we have that much torrential rain, that comes under. And either way, it leads to a lower spot, and we just continue to work with gravity. So I am at the highest peak between here and over there. So the water will flow with gravity this way. And so when you saw all of our sidewalks and stuff, before we put the sidewalk and any of this hardscape in, I needed to know, I figured out where the water ran and stuff. So that's why we kept this walkway here at a lower level instead of raising it up, because we knew that the water would still need to flow, because if not, we're either doing a disservice to our neighbors or to ourselves, because it'll back up in their yard and perhaps get into any of their foundation issues. Or same way with us, if we raise this up, eventually it's going to find the lowest spot, and it could be towards our house. So hopefully that's not the issue, but that's what we did. So if you're thinking about putting any type of drainage and stuff, and you don't, maybe you don't have the resources, or maybe don't have the money, or whatever it could be, that you don't want to go and spend an extensive amount to put French drains and whatnots in here, you can just work with gravity and do as we did. We didn't do any French drains. We just worked with gravity and just kept digging lower and lower and lower. So like right here's a retention pond. You can't tell because it looks like it's at the very top, but it's very deep. And so those rocks are sitting in a shallow, look like it's sitting in a shallow creek, but it's actually designed to hold all the water that would come off of here. So this all drained off. By the time I got home, that was about a 1 hour difference, and all of this was cleared out for the most part. And in fact, you couldn't even see the bridge leading to the Moon Gate in that video, because we didn't build up anything different. We just continued to dig deeper and work with gravity so that the slope would pull the water out. So the water will fill up into this creek right here. Now I do have a liner under this. We continue to have water in this all season long, but you can see how high the stones are. It's still draining a little bit, but if you look in the video, these stones were underwater. So that's what got that much rainwater coming off of these homes. There's not much I can do about it. I've put as much effort into it as possible, but that's just a lot of water at once. So sitting up here is about a foot deeper than the water level. So you can imagine all this was built up in as well. If you look in the video, all this was filled up with water. All this was filled up with water. So it was just flowing down. So we have a trench under here that leads into our next dry creek, or little creek that we've built this season. It used to be a dry creek, but I wanted to be more pronounced and have more water and hear the water as you enter the backyard. So the pump is off right now. In fact, there's some extension cords you'll see. We turned off everything just to make sure there was no shorts or anything in there. If there was, you know, a mouse or a squirrel or something got involved and started playing with those wires, we didn't want. So everything's turned off right now except for the 2 pumps behind us. So this creek's turned off. So this filled up. If you look in the video as well, this creek was flowing really good, but it did its job. That's why I dug it really deep compared to the, you know, the main plane of the soil. So it's about 1.5 feet deep, and then it just continues to flow out. So you saw the water flow along the rocks and everything. That's why we haven't built up anything right here, so that the water can flow underneath. You can see right there where all the debris drug itself into the Ajuga to fight to get its way over there. Same way with around here. And then as the water got through here, you can see it where it made its path right through the grass right there. You can see where it laid it down. It had that good of water flow through there. So now this is another retention pond. You can't tell other than the water sitting right here. So I have levels and levels and levels. We have these birch trees that are above us, and they really like the water. So anytime I can get an opportunity to save rainwater to give them a drink so that they're not shedding their leaves in the property, is good for us in this garden. So this is another retention pond, and then we have a barrier over there that all the water will just stay in here until it reaches a certain spill point. And then once it spills over, then it'll go down probably another 20 or 30 feet, and then we have another barrier. And then when it gets to a certain level, it'll spill over that. And then once it spills over, back in that corner of the property, there is a spillway where the water spills into the drainage ditch, in a drainage tubing that goes under the ground. They're probably like 4x4, probably. The city's installed those throughout. Those are the same things you see in the driveway, on the streets and whatnot there on the corner, and it'll go out to other retention ponds. So I use that same mentality as what the city does with retention ponds. And so I've got several retention ponds that hold the water in our landscape to still give back to the trees and shrubs. But as it gets to a certain point, that's when it overfills, and then it can go into the drainage ditches, whatever they have, and retention ponds wherever the city has them at. So all this was underwater. It drains over by, I don't have my shoes on, so I'm in my socks. But anyways, you can take my word for it. Over there is the dry creek, so to speak. So all the water spills off of here into that dry creek, goes around the bridge, under the bridge, around all this little island here, and makes its way right here and into that drainage area that I was just sharing with you. But you can see I've got a bunch of water under there, a bunch of water here. The downside to having these retention ponds, such as the one that right there, is if it doesn't drain, let's say if it doesn't drain out quickly enough or absorb into the ground, we can sometimes end up with little stations where mosquitoes are. And at that point, that's when I go to Walmart and grab those little mosquito dunks. So it's that simple. And it wasn't that simple in the process of figuring it all out, but that's the nuts and bolts of the whole deal. So if you're asking how it drained out that fast, that's basically what we did. We just used gravity and retention ponds, and now we have a good little system working that allows us to absorb all that, still keep enough water in here to keep our trees and stuff healthy without having to run water hoses and whatnot. So yeah, that's it. So let's head over to our project. Okay, friends, another treat for the garden. I always think it's fun doing some silly things like this. So that little piece of metal art that my brother and I put together, of course I drew it up and he executed it, but I think it's just fun. I think it gives the garden, a stopping point to have something to speak about. Isn't it fun though? We've got the grass in there. That's Prairie Wind Cheyenne Sky. So that's perfect for containers, it says. I think I'm going to try to leave this stuff in here over the season. We've got enough blockage around here that should help, you know, keep this area a little bit warmer per se in the winter to keep these containers fine. All the things that I put in there were perennials. Of course, I put the names up in there. The switchgrass, or the grass, I should say, will get around 36 inches tall. I'll try to contain it. We'll just kind of keep an eye on it, but this will be a fun little piece. And plus, you can see in the background, everything I'm trying to do in this center spot with this grassy area is just kind of eliminate the neighbors. I'm okay if I see it from the sidewalk a bit. When I say I'm okay with it, I'm trying to design the garden to eliminate all the neighbors visuals. But when I get into the grassy area, once we walk through any of these pathways, there's one here, there's one there, of course the moon gate, and one there. I'm trying to eliminate little pockets so that I can see the neighbors right there, that space. It's not gonna ever fully be done, but I think we're working towards it. You've seen some of our aerial views. If you haven't, the last couple videos, we put one on there. I just borrowed from the same video and put it on a couple of them, just to kind of give you a general idea if you missed some of those. But that, you'll see that we're in a fishbowl here. There's, you know, roughly 10 homes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 homes, maybe 8 that can look down into the garden prior to this. And then it extends further on. So before there were fencing and trees, you know, 10 to 12 homes could see across the area. So anyway, this is kind of fun, just doing this type of stuff and seeing how far I can push it with the whimsy and stuff. It's still a mellowed whimsy, so to speak. We've got things going on here, but it's not too much in your face. So I think every little bit that we're doing just continues to eliminate a lot of the visuals from outside of our property line. I also dropped Ajuga in there. It won't take long. Any of you guys who have Ajuga, you know it'll clump over that. And then of course the heuchera, I'm going to keep an eye on it. This gets a lot of evening sun. Some heuchera can handle it. This might not, but this was on the property. I didn't have to purchase these. I mean, I've already made the purchase a week or so back, but we'll see how well. If not, then I'll figure out something else. We'll just do something fun. I'm trying to stay away from a whole bunch of color, just so it doesn't stand out. And I don't think this stands out. This is just like another pocket of friendliness, a little fun, each corner that you turn. So you get a good visual anywhere you go. As soon as this starts to grow, like I said, I'll keep an eye on it. It won't, my only concern would be between the honeysuckle in there when you go past it. Will it brush up against you too much? Chiggers and that type of stuff. But no matter where we look, it's still giving a good little visual. So I don't have much grass in the garden. I would like to add more grass, but we're to the point now where if it's not elevated, we're probably don't have enough pockets in the garden that will get enough sun to keep it happy. So, you know, most of these grasses can handle 6+ hours of sun. And that's why I am concerned about some of the things that I do in the garden, especially with these hydrangeas. They're doing fine. You can see they're already starting to give us some color, but the rose bush back here is the one I'm most concerned about. It looks good. It's doing fine, other than the rabbits eating on the bottom of it. But hopefully I'll have enough sun, and as it crawls and grows across this wooden railing here, that we'll have enough sun for it to continue to make it happy. But you can see from a distance, now we're elevating our design. We're taking our look from the ground and taking it up. So I think this is softening it up a little bit. As the grass continues to grow, I can probably plop out some of those perennials. Like I said, I'll have to keep an eye on the heuchera. Might not stand up, but still, nonetheless, it's a very good and fun little piece right now. Once it starts to kind of relax and soften up, I think between the heuchera and the ajuga, it'll soften up the edge, and then this will be a really remarkable, fun piece. Anyway, that's the video. We've got some other things coming up this week. We'll see how it all unfolds. We had all that rain, so I'm not able to do too much right now. I've got some digging to do. I've got to think about going and purchasing another Japanese maple and doing some things in the garden. So stay tuned for that video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you folks on the flip side. Bye-bye now.